Hello everyone, welcome back to Trophy Travel Experiences. Today I'm doing a review of my visit to the Rouen Cathedral. It's actually named the Cathedral Notre-Dame de Rouen. It is one of the largest churches in France, and as it's named the cathedral, that means is the home church of the Archbishop of Rouen. So if it's sometimes you'll see magnificent churches and they're called basilicas. That means that they are not the home church of the Archbishop at that time. It is marked by that it has three different towers that are built in three different kind of styles: early Gothic, Flamboyant, and Renaissance. And it's been destroyed many times and rebuilt, but it's quite a magnificent structure. So on the west side is the first tower, which is called the Saint Romain Tower, and it was kind of begun in 1145, and you'll see it in Gothic cathedral style. The one to the east, that is the Butter Tower. It kind of looks like it has a kind of a flat top. That was constructed between 1488 and 1506, and it is in the Gothic flamboyant style. And why it's called the Butter Tower is because donors who donated money to this tower were given the disposition to consume butter and milk during Lent. And so it's, it's not because it looks like a butter thing. And then the middle tower is called the Lantern Tower and Spear, and that makes it very tall. It's 151 meters high. They did want to make it, I think, taller than, I think, the cathedral in Cologne, Germany. But originally, the spear was made of wood, and it was destroyed in fire in 1822, then replaced with a tower of iron on copper. So beautiful, magnificent site, and like most cathedrals and basilicas in France, you do not pay admission, you just go in. There was no audio guide to this, but you can walk around, and here's a little video of the front. So it is the subject of many paintings, and most famously Claude Monet's painting. He's painted this many times, and so I'll show a picture of that. So this is the most common entrance. This is the west entrance, and you can tell because it's got three portals. Claude Monet painted this cathedral many times in different types of light. This is a close-up of the one done in 1894 under full sunlight. Some of them are done with different types of sunlight, and this actually sits now in the Museum d'Orsay. So he tried to paint this at different times of the day and in different weather conditions. There's a number of paintings. There's two in the National Art Gallery in Washington. There's one in the Getty Center in LA, one in Serbia, one in the Clark Institute in Williamstown, Massachusetts, one in Cologne Museum, one in Rouen, and then 5 in the Museum d'Orsay. You could honestly spend hours here looking at things, particularly if you are religious. On the front, there's many kind of sculptures of different, normally it's the apostles or archbishops. We spent a good, I would say, hour there, even without an audio guide, just looking at things and marveling at the spectacle of it. I'm sure if you're religious, you're going to spend even more time. But just, look at the detail and just think of this, how it was built and rebuilt. It survived world wars. So it's just a magnificent structure. Here's a short video of the interior, and again you can see it's magnificent. They were doing some renovations. It looks like the altar area, and you can see it's quite magnificent. And you can see around the cross area they've got some scaffolding, so it looked like they were doing some renovations to the altar. Again, I tried to get close as possible, and then just took a quick video of the upstairs and just looking towards the back. And this is the front and the altar. where you see the cross, that actually is a huge hallway, so it probably extends for, I don't know, probably 50 or 100 feet towards the Jesus on the cross. So obviously they're doing some extensive renovations, maybe with the roof and things like that. This is a shot of the church looking towards the back, and throughout it has a lot of stained glass windows. Many of them come from different centuries because the cathedral has withstood a lot of fire and wars, and so it's been repaired, and some are modern and some are much older. So for example, the stained glass window on the left hand side, the three pane stained glass window, that's from the 16th century, and that's in the chapel of Saint Joseph. Some stained glass windows are a bit more modern. So for example, the one here on the right, far right, is called the Joan of Arc window, and this was created in 1950s to replace windows that were destroyed when the church was bombarded during the Second World War. These are some of the statues in the ambulatory. So ambulatory is kind of a semicircle around the edge of the end of the church near the cross. And so these are just different statues, probably apostles, saints, archdeacons, but just that were dug up and restored. And then the next video again is just a shot of the end of the church. And at the end there is a chapel, and it's called the Chapel of the Virgin, and it's dedicated to the Virgin Mary. Dates back to the 1300s, and the altar was made in the 17th century. Just a close-up of the altar in the Chapel of the Virgin. It is interesting to note that it also contains the tomb of a cardinal and his nephew and successor. So very ornate, magnificent, and just kind of awe-inspiring. Just going back outside, this is the north portal, and it's called the Porto de Libraries. And again, you can tell that this is not the main entrance because it's only got one kind of entranceway instead of the west side, which has got three different kind of doors or portals. This is again the outside view from the north side, and the rose window on the top there, that is from the 14th century, and that is the only of the large rose windows that survived in its original form. It depicts Christ surrounded by evangelists, bishops, kings, and martyrs. Again, another video just outside. You'll see the Butter Tower on the left. And all in all, it was really a wonderful, magnificent site. Really enjoyed it. Even if you're not religious, it's a magnificent cathedral. And I know that every place in Europe has churches and cathedrals, but this is really one that's quite special, quite large, lots to see, lots of detail. And I would even say that this is probably a little bit more kind of a tourist site than, let's say, the Lyon Cathedral, which is, I think, is a bit smaller. But really, I think this is one of the top churches in France and in terms of the scale. So I would really recommend going to this. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, safe travels.